Hey everybody, so thanks for joining me for my first video. If you're wanting to follow along, you're going to need a sumi brush, you're going to need a selection of paintbrushes, a little pot of mica powder, you're also going to need a little bit of golden ink, you're going to need some sumi ink and something to hold it in afterwards. You're also going to need a selection of watercolour paints. Acrylics don't work so good, but I find the watercolour works just fine. A little something to hold all your ink in. And of course you're going to need some inkjet paper as well. And there's affiliate links in the description for every item that I'm using, so you can paint dragons with me. Okay, so here we're going to start with the side of the dragon's face. So this is the under eye and the back of the jaw here, so you draw it in an S shape. Then you're going to want to push down the front of the brush, so you make a wide stroke and then it tapers down to the line you've already made. And you want to continue with that technique to build up the side of the dragon's face, and just take your time, just continue to build up the face. Couple of tips for this part: you don't want to make the underside of the eye too wide or it throws off the whole face. You just want to focus on keeping it nice and broad strokes, and then tapering in like that, and then lift up with the brush towards the end. Just a couple more. Tapering down, nice and straight lines. A little bit more ink is needed. And so here you want to try and figure out where the other eye is going to go. So they want to make them quite symmetrical but just a bit smaller. You would bring the under the second eye in, but not quite reaching the nose. Then on the other side you want to bring in the eyelid, and then just fill in the gap just a little bit just to help you with the other eye. So I quite like here to bulb out the top of the eyelid and then taper it in at the back. Gives it kind of an angrier appearance. I quite like that. I think it looks cool. You can see that tapering back of the eye there. So here what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to press quite hard with the brush, and then just keep pressing, increasing the tension and letting it out, just so that you get a nice even spread all the way up there. And then you repeat that process to complete the forehead. And take your time. These drawings shouldn't frustrate you, so just chill you out. And then so here we're going to start painting the bridge of the nose. So it's the same technique, pressing down with the tip of the brush. Then you want to give it a little flick out at the end for the nose, and then decide here to just fill in a little bit of the under eye there. Okay, so the placement of this one takes a little bit of practice. This is the under side of the jaw here. So you're going to want to place that under where the jaw will go, and then you're looping it up and around to become the back of the mouth, and then the underside of the jaw. And then we're just putting in the mouth here. So you want to start light and then press in the brush in the middle, and then end light again. And then just little flicks up for the teeth. And then we're on to drawing the nose. So just going to want the whiskers coming out. Just a couple. You can go overboard here. And I suggest you do. Experiment with things, see how you like it. I'm still coming up with different ways that I like to do this part, so it's just however you want to do it. And then bringing out the other side. Nice swooping lines. And there you have the mouth almost complete. So for this part, you just want to go back into the jaw, give it a little bit more ink, and then just flick the tip of the brush out to create the texture of the underside of the jaw. Then after that, you get the side of the brush and just quickly just flick up the side of the head. Now you don't want to go too far across, because later on when we draw the dragon's body, you'll be able to fill in that part. If you do it here, too much ink kind of overlaps. I like to draw little bits coming down from the bottom of the jaw here. I think it looks cool. You don't have to do this part. It's just something that I like doing, a little extra detail. I quite like putting little lines underneath the eye as well. I just think it looks good. You don't need to do this part. And there you have the basic face. And from that, you can play around with it. You can play around with where the mouth sits. You can play around with the eyes, the side of the face. It really is up to you. Just play about with it and see what you like. So then let's move on to the most fun part, the one-stroke dragon body. So here you want to get your ink so that it's about a 50-50 with water and ink. Later on you're going to want just ink for other purposes, but for the brush you're really going to want a 50-50 spread with ink and water. You can play around with this as well and see what you like. I prefer to have 50-50 so that there's quite defined lines. If you use a bit more ink, you'll get really, really dark scales with a really, really bright underbelly. It looks quite nice. But in this one I opted for quite a light body. So you just have to play around with it and find out what you like. So I'm going for yellow this time. Purple works really nice. I really like purple, but I've done that many recently that I'm a little bored of it, so yellow it is today. So I'm going to get a secondary brush with a bit of water on it. And you just want to work that yellow into the bristles. A little bit on the back as well. I feel like that helps a little bit sometimes. So I'm just getting a little bit more water here. And then again just pushing it into the bristles. So you can see you want to leave a little bit of black on each side so that the colour looks like it's contained within the middle of the dragon's body and the scales. So this bit's going to take a fair amount of practice, but what you want to do, you want to push the brush into the paper, and then just when you're moving the brush back, you just want to give it a little bit of a jerking motion back and forward. That's what creates the pattern and creates the scales. So as you can see there, just little jerking movements in the wrist. Nice flowing lines. Try and keep everything as smooth as possible. Just relax with it. Let the brush take you where you need to go. Just bring the dragon out on the page. A twist here, a twist there, really is up to you. And then as you come to the end, turn the brush around and lift up. And there you go. And that is the beauty and simplicity of the one-stroke dragon. I think it looks fantastic, I really do. It's a great little hobby. So here you're going to want to take some undiluted sumi ink. Can't really tell because of my camera quality, but that splashed all over the page. I was a little bit upset about that. And then you're just taking that ink and pressing it into the paper to make the mane of the dragon. So you can cover up at this point where you initially push the brush in, because it tends to look a little bit scraggly. Doesn't look the best, so you just cover it up with the I know it said lion. You cover it up with the dragon's mane. And here I'm just taking a bit of time to put a bit of detail into the top of the forehead, so there's a nice transition between the dragon's face and the dragon's body. And just take your time. And then I'm just going to draw a quick Chinese kanji for fortune. It's very abridged, that one. Very abridged. Just brushing off one of my paintbrushes here onto my painting trousers, which is fine. I tend to get covered in ink, so. So with the gold ink, you really want to get a lot on the brush. So you're going to want to get quite a lot down on the paper, a lot down on the brush. So you just want to pick a point on the forehead, and then you're just going up. For the horns. Now if you don't want to buy the gold ink, or you want to use something else, you can use paint, obviously, but I really do suggest that you use the gold ink for the horns. It gives the painting a really reflective nature to it, and it just looks great. When the light hits it just right, it really gives the painting a bit of edge. And it's a really nice touch. I'll never use anything else for the rest of my paintings. It just looks too good. I highly suggest. You could use sort of yellow watercolour if you really wanted to. That's what I did at the start, but the gold ink just adds a certain amount of character to it. You really want to use it if you can. But it is quite expensive, so yellow watercolour will be fine. You'll probably have to use quite a few layers though to get it right. So for For this part we're going to want to do the eyes, so get a really watered down solution of ink and water, and then dollop on a little bit, and then dry off the brush and go back in, because then all it leaves behind is a really faint eye, and then you can go back in with the brush and just give it a little dab of black ink again, and that gives it a really defined eye. It looks really nice. That'll take your dragon eyes up a little notch. So here, just with pure ink, you're just going to wait until this little circle dries, and then you're just going to want to paint a little bit outside the orb, just a little bit outside, and then you're going to want to bring the triangle of the talon down and into that jewel, so that the dragon's grabbing a hold of it. Looks really nice. And then you can do 3, I quite like to do 4 along the top and then 1 on the bottom. It makes it look like the dragon's really holding onto that gem. And now here, just going to add the long whiskers at the front. And then that's us pretty much done. So if you made it this far in the video, thanks a lot for watching me paint my dragons. I really enjoy doing it. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and I'm quite passionate about bringing it to you guys as well. So I do apologise for the video quality. I am going to try and improve on that in future. This is all new to me, so I'll get better over time, obviously. Like I mentioned previously as well, all the stuff that I've used in the video, there is affiliate links in the description, so it'll take you straight to Amazon and you can order all the products that I've used. And it's the products that I'll be using for the foreseeable future. So thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.